Hey guys, your boy Chili here. Welcome to the official unveiling of version 2.0 of the Chili Warriors of the Eternal Sun patch. It's been a hot minute. It's been about a year since the last one. And if you've been following along in the videos, you know that quite some time back, like over half a year back, I did a lot of work on it. But I never released the version 2.0. I just kind of been sitting on it. And to be honest, I don't even remember why. Like maybe there was something I wanted to check out, but I figure, yeah, you know, just send it. Let's just send that mother. And if you got problems, open up an issue. And, you know, maybe I'll take a look at it. But anyways, let's take a look at what's going on. I've already uploaded the patch here. You can use this to patch your binary as usual. I'll put like a post on Reddit a little later. I'll put a link in this description as well. But yeah, let's take a look at what actually changed here. Give you a little bit of a walkthrough. So, before, the guy who got the last hit, the kill on the enemy, got all the experience for killing that enemy, and that is very annoying for balancing your party. And it's also not in keeping with the actual rules. So I made it, though, so that when you kill an enemy, everyone who was alive at that time gets an equal share of the monster XP. And another kind of big change here was I gave you XP bonus for your prime requisite. If you're not familiar with it, this is like if you're a fighter, if you have high strength, you get a little bonus on your experience. If you're a mage, you have high intelligence, you get a little bonus on your experience. If you have very low intelligence, you get a debuff on that. So this is just, I mean, it's following the rules more closely, but it also incentivizes, you know, people who are doing like mages and clerics to actually put points into the skills that make sense for those guys, because before they weren't doing anything. Now, I did some quality of life improvements on stuff that was driving me crazy as I played through the game. So one thing that drives me crazy is when you're casting spells, you use up that spell, the slot gets empty. You have to go into the inventory and then go and select the slot and then choose the spell and then get out of the inventory and then select the spell and attack the enemy. I'm gonna do some magic. Okay, so now it's the magic user's turn again, and I want to use, they have another spell, I want to use it, but I used the last one, it removed it from the slot, there's nothing there. So how do you get access to the other spell? Well, first you just hit pause, you go into the inventory. Then you go into the inventory, or you go into the menu, then you go into the inventory, then you go down here, you select from all the spells that you would have, you would find the one you wanted, you would select it, you would bind it to the slot, then you would exit the inventory screen, then you exit this screen, and then you can use the spell, and then you can target an enemy. So, I don't like that, that's very annoying. And now, that happens all in one fell swoop. So if you have an empty slot, you just go to use it and it'll automatically bring you into the inventory, and then after choosing it, it'll automatically use that so you can attack with it. So it's a much faster workflow for using spells. Alright, we're back in the thick of it here. Nice easy battle for us. Put this boy to sleep. Nighty night. And now if I go back here. Okay, so I go into menu here. Let me press the button to cycle characters. It is not cycling. Let me press the button to equip slot A. It is not equipping, but I can equip slot B, and that will automatically activate it, and booyah. Okay, so the other thing is when you are resting, you have all these questions that you have to go through before you actually rest, and if you hit any of them, it takes you to like reworking your spells and shit, and by default, that's the one that's selected. So when you go to rest, first thing you do, it's going to ask you, do you want to change the spell list for Buddy? And you got to click over to no, because normally you don't want to do that. And then for Keeb, no. And then for Marjorie, no. And then you start resting. And then after that, there are actually more questions if people have to heal and stuff like that. You want to use spells to heal people. It's very annoying. Like what I want to do is when I go to rest, I would like to just be able to mash, but if I mash, I get into this menu and I unequip my spells. It's very annoying. So, but normally if I want to rest, I just want to mash through that really quick so I can get to the resting and get back to the game. So I changed the default to no now so you can mash through that much quickly. You don't have to wait and, you know, select no for each one before you can get to do your resting. And so now you can see if I want to rest, go rest party, and I can just mash. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. Now, the thief hiding in the dungeon was broken for a number of reasons. First, if you enter the dungeon while hidden, you stay hidden And even if you attack, you're still hidden. So that's crazy. That's insane. Like, there was even a guy on Reddit saying that, yeah, here's what he said. His favorite broken part is 1 cleric and then 3 rogues, and you just hide them. You go into the dungeon and you murder everything. So now that doesn't work. But it's also possible to hide when you're in the dungeon, because basically when you enter the dungeon, you were just stuck in whatever state you were. But now you can actually, the hiding works, but when you attack, you lose it, just like you should. There's a lot of fixes around blindness because it's just crazy. Like, it always, in the previous game, it always hits, and when it hits, the enemy is completely immobilized. They don't do anything. So the first thing I did was I made it so that when you cast blindness on a creature, they get a saving throw, which they should as per the rules. So it's not a guaranteed success right there. And when they're blinded now, they can move around as usual. They can attack as usual. Because when you're blind, that doesn't mean you lose the ability to move, right? But what they do have now is they have big debuffs to their own chance to hit and also their ability to dodge attacks. So it's going to be easier to hit them. It's hard for them to hit you, which is what the rules say it should be. In the dungeon, the blindness manifested a little differently. They didn't stop. They just started wandering around the dungeon like they're insane. So now they don't do that. Another problem with the blindness in tactical was it lasted longer than any battle would ever last. So I've made it a lot shorter. And I also made the duration, it's a roll, it's a 1d4 plus your bonus for intelligence. So if you have 18 intelligence, it's like a 1d4 plus 3. Or if you have 16, it's a 1d4 plus 2, that sort of thing. So this is just part of my longer plan of making intelligence actually do something. So that's all the stuff that went into blindness, so the light and dark spells, basically. Now, there was a big problem with melee calculation, which meant that enemies that hold swords, like the beastmen, the veterans or whatever you find, they were getting like a -6 debuff. So I fixed that, so now enemies don't do the lookup for strength because they don't have any strength. I also modified magic missile just a little bit. I added some sauce for high integer casters. They get just a little bonus on top of the damage. It doesn't make a big difference if you're casting like multiple bolts when you're high level. But in the very beginning of the game, this can actually make it, more interesting to use magic missile as opposed to other spells like, darkness. And this is just a little implementation detail. It doesn't change the way the game works, but I made it so that Division now is using the native CPU instruction. It doesn't matter. It didn't slow down the game either way. You barely divide anywhere. But it was interesting little thing I did there. For those of you who are interested in the actual development of the ROM code, that's documented in my videos. But yeah, there you have it. I'm going to make another post on Reddit, and I'll link to that post. I'll edit this one. I'll link to the post for version 2.0. It's already pushed to GitHub with a release tag on here. And if you want to take a look at the change history yourself, it's up there. And I'll throw a few links in this video description as well, just to get you to those places faster if you have an interest to do so. But as usual, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoy the patch. If you do, please click the like button. It helps a lot. And I will see you again with something else. Probably not this, but maybe one day again we'll take a look at more stuff.